So, guys, today I am bringing you a really special interview. So, I am not allowed to introduce the guest properly because the theme is really controversial. Today, we are going to talk about MK Ultra project. Technically, we will talk about the personal experience of our guest with MK Ultra project. And for the sake of security of our guest, we will not show the face or the guest or the name of the guest. Hello, thank you for
Hi.
us today. Thank you for being brave enough to speak about this controversial topic. So, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and how you started being victimized by MK Ultra and what you think about it all?
Sure. Well, I don't want to say exactly that I'm a victim, first of all, because I think most of the people that are in those types of programs are just kind of really fucked up people that are wandering around. Um, so anyway, um, back in like around 2010 when conspiracy theories really were becoming popular and there was a lot of underground media outlets and I think also kind of a push for that information to come out, probably managed, probably kind of skewed and biased, and probably kind of an agenda with it. At that time, I was, like a lot of people that were getting into conspiracy theories and alternative ideas, just like kind of disenfranchised and uh, like disillusioned with everything in society and in the world. And I sort of became friends with this woman who was like a really serious victim of it. She was, went through the usual like satanic ritual abuse and sexual abuse. And she was trained actually to be a remote viewer and used that way. She was really interesting, and she had a radio show, and she would talk about this stuff. And like every weekend, a few of us basically would like get together and like participate in this radio show that had like very few listeners. Um, and during that time, there was a person that moved into my neighborhood. This one was out in the Midwest, and I was out on the West Coast. And this person just seemed like kind of a cool, interesting person. They were a musician. Uh, they had a lot of cool stories, and they told me that as a kid, they spent a lot of time with this man, William Burroughs, who is really had a huge influence on American popular culture and just culture in general. He was a beatnik. He was sort of like the granddad beatnik. The three main ones being William Burroughs, Jack Kerouac, and who was the other one? Uh, his name escapes me right now. But yeah, the third one, he was a weird one. I don't know why he was idolized for so many years, but he was a member of NAMBLA, which is the. Have you ever heard of NAMBLA before?
No.
It's like the National Association of Man Boy Love. So it's like a pedophile organization. Um. So yeah. So anyway, William Burroughs was really creative genius. Actually, he was a really important author. Um, he had a lot of controversial ideas. He was really experimental, and he also kind of brought like gay rights into the public awareness. And he was idolized pretty much by like every like rock star you can think of, like any of the classic rock stars, like thought he was like the shit or something. Um, so this friend of mine was telling me that he was spending time with him a lot as a kid, and that they were doing a lot of LSD together. And I'm talking about like this kid was like between the ages of like 10 and 12 doing LSD with this much older man, like a man that was like in his 70s, which is sort of strange to begin with. Um, and then he started telling me more weird stuff, like that when he was a kid, like he was playing on the swings and he skinned his knee, and there was like this device that fell out of his knee. It was like a red plastic device. And long story short, this guy got his personality started to change really quick, like within a matter of a few weeks of knowing him, and he got really obsessed with me, and he started stalking me and like camping out in the bushes outside of my house. Um, and this like went on for months actually. Um, I tried calling the police and stuff, but they just couldn't really. It's really hard to stop stalkers. You know, a restraining order and shit like that isn't going to stop a stalker. And he eventually like broke into my house and uh tried to kill me. And luckily, like when he was on top of me and he was getting ready to slit my throat, I got rescued at the last minute. Um, because my mom was upstairs and she had a really bad feeling all of a sudden something was really wrong, and she went to check on me and she like rescued me. So that was good. But anyway, I hadn't made the connection between like me participating in this like radio show with this other woman that was in MK Ultra with this guy. So I was still I was still going on there, talking to those people. And a couple of years later, I met a man on that show and we became friends. And we had just begun talking. And I sort of had mentioned that there was this crazy guy that stalked me and like tried to kill me. And he was like, oh, yeah, that sucks. So the more I talked to this man that had become my friend, the more he started to actually reveal that he had been a part of MK Ultra. Um, and he had a lot of stories about just being stalked, being followed, being bullied, intimidated, um, and just a bunch of weird shit. So, like one day, he calls me up and he's really scared. I'd never met this man. He was also on the opposite side of the country from me. He calls me up and he's really scared, and he says, I'm gonna so he says, I just ran into blank, like I'll call him Jerry. He goes, I just ran into Jerry. I just ran into Jerry. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because that Jerry was the person that um had stalked me and tried to kill me. And he's telling me that he just ran into him on the other coast of the United States. Okay? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just thought, okay, this friend is a little bit fucked in the head. He's kind of delusional. He doesn't know what he's. But then he describes exactly what he looks like, exactly how he dresses, exactly how he acts. Like, long black hair, wears a beanie, has a limp, et cetera, et cetera. And And then he tells me that this exact same person stalked him and tried to kill him like a few years prior to that. So I know something weird is going on at this point. Um, and we both were just like really like, whoa, what is happening here? This is not normal. This is not normal. So then I find out that my friends also spent a lot of time with William Burroughs as a child, and that he called him his grandfather. That's the kind of I guess really close relationship that they had. Um, and that was his like mentor, I guess. That was his trainer in the program. Um, and then I started to experience some of the really kind of supernatural forces that were a part of MK Ultra. Like when you get involved in it, I guess there's like kind of like a cloud that sticks to you, and there's these these things, these events, these patterns that follow you, and these symbols, and the whatever like entities are like part of that, or whatever the magic is, I don't know. It communicates with you. This is going to sound really weird, but it communicates with you with symbolism from the Wizard of Oz, and any like other person that you might have a chance to talk to that's been a part of MK Ultra will verify that for you, that the Wizard of Oz is this. It's like it's a trigger. The symbolism is used as a trigger to trigger some sort of reaction from the victims. Um, I didn't I didn't know this at this point, but going forward a little bit, one day I was just like hanging out, and the spirit came, and the spirit, it was it reminded me a little bit of myself, in that it was just kind of a really morose spirit, and it was really sort of sensitive and creative and poetic, but like just like depressed. And it was telling me that it was telling me that it was trying to compare my friend to Abraham Lincoln. Do you I don't know if you've heard of Abraham Lincoln's like the most famous president from the United States from like the Civil War.
I heard about him.
Yeah. So he kept trying to say that my friend was like Abraham Lincoln. And I was like, okay. And I called up my friend, and I said, "Hey," I was like, "You know how you said your grandfather, aka William Burroughs, would always read you his favorite poem?" I was like, "What was the poem? Could you read it to me?" And he said, "Yeah." And he read me the poem, and it was a poem that Walt Whitman wrote for Abraham Lincoln. And he said, my grandfather always read that to me because he was comparing me to Abraham Lincoln. And I thought, oh, okay. And the poem was, "Oh, Captain, my Captain." Now, the strange thing is, a while after that, I was sharing this story with uh, a friend, famous occultist. I said to him, I was like, so yeah, so the spirit was trying to get me to tell my friend this poem that he wanted to compare to Abraham Lincoln. And my friend stopped me and he said, "You mean, oh, Captain, my captain?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, that's used as that's like a programming device." He said that same poem was used on me, and when I start to recite it, I dissociate. And what's crazy is that, I mean, I know this story sounds convoluted, but it's convoluted because it involves it involves magic. It involves occult things hidden that I don't even understand. But um yeah, so that's up there.
So, can you tell us something more about the program? What your friend tell you about the program? How it went?
Um so yeah. So he I call these people MK Ultra kids, and I call them kids because they, even though they're tethered to this thing, they are like, they're so broken mentally, they're so shattered, they don't really have any control over their lives or anything. I mean, they're like completely fucked up, and they're not really fully functioning adults. And he he felt the same about it. And he basically referred to he it's so let me tell you about the guy who was the last person that was running this project officially. His name was Michael Aquino. He was the head of psyops, or psychological operations, for the US Army. And in his interviews and books, he talks about it, and he says that MK Ultra was basically a failed experiment, and that's about all he says. Um, most of the documents were destroyed at that time. Um, I I think that uh, you know it was kind of a failed experiment, at least if you look at the results of it, the broken people from it. Um, I don't know, you know, if there's other projects like other code names, other descendants of MK Ultra that are still in operation, or I don't know anything about that. But yeah, it's really hard for me to even for anyone to really know what the point of these projects is. I know that all the people that I came across that were in it at some point became aggressive towards me or violent, uh, often like out of the blue.
Interesting. So, if you
Um,
Michael Aquino is the founder of the infamous satanic organization Temple of,
yes,
and he kind of wrote a lot of treatises on what we know as the Black Flame, and he introduced the concept of the Black Flame to the.
absolutely. Yes, yes, he was. He was
Yeah,
a
really.
very intelligent man. Yeah.
But can you like tell us everything you know about program itself?
Everything I know about the program. Well, according to history, it was used. They were they it was they basically they they used illegal activities in these experiments against people, and they did all kinds of torture, um, abuses, drugs, a lot of LSD. Um, and it was supposedly for the purposes of like experiments for interrogation techniques. Obviously, I think it went up much further than that, but You know, Michael Aquino, his intro he did a lot of interviews, towards the end of his life, which he actually just died last year, because he had, like, a terminal cancer, and, he seemed to feel like he really had something valuable to contribute as far as the stuff that he knew about. Um, Now he was, back in the 80s, he was involved in a he was suspected of being involved in, like, a pedophile ring at some preschools. Um, he was never charged. He wrote a book about the the fact that he never was a part of that and that it was a witch hunt. He totally could have been a part of it, I don't know. Um, but, I kinda wish he wasn't, because he actually seemed like a really interesting person, and, like, he didn't seem like an asshole, but,
But
you
was
know.
he actually commander of the MK Ultra program, by the way?
Yeah, yeah, he
So
was for a time.
what your friend told you about his treatment in the program, can you describe some of his experiences, some of his retellings of what MK Ultra was?
Um, Sexual abuse, horrible, weird, twisted shit. Um, Playing around with, like, kind of like, I don't know, like, spy techniques, I guess, like, how to write how to write things, how to disguise your handwriting and, like, change your name, and, uh, there was some occult stuff mixed into it. It's really hard to, like, with most of the victims, it's really hard to get, like, clear information from them because their minds are so fucked up. So you kinda what you're able to gather is you're able to sort of connect the dots with all the other things, all the other events and circumstances around it and the people around it. You can't really, like, depend on one source, because I don't know if they do that on purpose, if they mess up their mind so much that they can't reveal that much about it, like, on purpose, but
And yeah, we kind of need to talk about it more in the public eye. So, how were you affected by interacting with those people, and what is your direct experience with that?
um, for me, I mean, it was kind of scary, obviously. It did get dangerous sometimes, but, I was just really curious, and I really wanted to know more about it, and the forces that were involved, and, um, so I felt like, in a way, it actually kind of helped me grow and helped me understand the world around me better, and just gave me a different perspective on things. Um, I think, you know, I was talking about Michael Aquino, and, like, he was about to die and he came out with these books and interviews and stuff. I think it would be really interesting if you tried to, like, summon him, because he actually jokes about that. Like, he actually jokes about coming back from the dead in his later interviews to, like, share his knowledge and stuff. You should, like, do a necromantic ritual and summon him and ask him more about, MK Ultra.
Yeah, but I think the point of MK Ultra was from all of
Uh-huh.
the information you kind of gave me right now. I think the
Mhm.
point was to create the perfect spice because
Mhm.
all kind of fixed mixes in. It's kind of military project. It deals with really young children. It gives them military training. It associates
Mhm.
them. It teaches them techniques to be better spies. I think it was a special part of intelligence agency to create a special spies, which were merged with spirits for appropriate tasks in a military, right? But the thing is that the reason why I think why he thought it was a fucked up and failed project is that it's really difficult to merge human and a spirit without breaking a human or choosing two weak spirits. So in that sense, they had a statistically and proportionally small number of effective spies. That's my kind of what I am picking up. Because you cannot
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and about the merging with spirits part, like, so yeah, so these people, it was like they're like a hive mind, the MK Ultra victims. They don't know what they're doing, but they're it's like a colony of ants. And it's like once one finds you, it's like they leave a trail, like a chemical signal trail back to the colony. And then that's when all the other ones start to come. And then that's when you find out that you're actually like in this like conspiracy, you know? Um, but it's not like there's a person controlling them like right above them. Like it's they're like insects, and there's yeah, it's really weird. It's hard to explain it.
so I don't know if you can introduce me to more of those people so I can interview them and upload their testimonials on YouTube. I think that would be excellent because I don't give a fuck about my life anyway. If I die, I die. And I am like interested in those things. And I really want to, because your story, it's good story, and you are my friend and my associate. But like, I want something more juicy.
Uh,
I want something more risky. I want something more intense. I want something which will. So if you can really open up, I guarantee you a protection spells from myself for your fucking ass because we did this interview. So I know
yeah.
my request is difficult, but if you can just, you know, open up completely and introduce me to some more people because I really want to know what happened there.
Yeah. Well, I don't really want to introduce you to the person that tried to hurt me. The other person is in jail because I helped to get them out of, they were kind of like a slave. I helped to get them out, but they got him back, and he went, they put him in jail. And then the other one I know is the person I don't want to name, the occultist I don't want to name. There's one woman I could introduce you to. She's kind of crazy, but we could go that route.
But she was actually in there, you know, in the program. Rape.
As
Uh,
a child, yeah, she was, yeah.
but like, do those people have any
But
evidence
so
of
was
that
the occultist.
program?
So the occultist.
So maybe I don't know, but can you tell me everything you practically know about the program? Every all of the details, everything. Because like I don't know which questions to ask you because I don't know anything about it. I just know that they use certain drugs and they used extreme forms of rape and torture, but that's something which is pretty much publicly known. I kind of don't
Yeah,
know what to ask you because I don't know what to ask. Uh, so I
yeah.
am pretty much leaving you to talk freely. So talk
Okay.
about whatever aspect of this you wanna.
So what I know about it is not is just that there was what's pretty much in popular culture already. Um, and I just happen to know who the trainer was, that it was that famous guy William Burroughs, and that he was pedophile. And like I said, I mean, I wish I knew more, but it's a lot of it is a mystery to me too.
So yeah, can you give any information, any other information regarding anything related to that? So
It's alien. Well, yeah, I can. There was a lot of, but both of the people I knew talked a lot about like some kind of extraterrestrial aspect about it. And I would have entities come that were part of the program and basically tell me that they were extraterrestrials. And one time when I was like kind of in the very middle of this, and I like kind of went back to the colony, and I was like planning a trip to go back to the colony in the Midwest. I saw something that I think might have been an alien. I was out in the middle of the desert, and it was like 115 degrees, and there was nobody walking around out there at that. It was fucking hot, and it was too far away from everything. But I kept seeing this like person walking around the house, walking around the block over and over every single day. And they had a really, and they had this big floppy white hat. When I went out and I saw them fully, and they didn't really have a face, and they didn't have a normal body. They were really, really, really slight, maybe like just under 5 feet tall, extremely thin. And when they walked by me, they had this big floppy white hat on, and they completely covered their face with it to hide the fact that they didn't really have any features. And I told my friend about that was in it, and he said he had seen something really similar. He saw a person in a car that basically had no features, that was like following him.
So technically, I am asking a retarded question. But do you know the method of contacting those motherfuckers? Like,
do a method for contacting them?
Yep.
I would just experiment with that.
But this is insane YouTube channel, and I am a lunatic, so I am interested in content. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
William Burroughs or Michael Aquino, summon them.
okay, I will try with Aquino.
Yeah.
Because like he is more knowledgeable fucker than Burroughs. Or maybe Burroughs is, I don't know, fucking motherfucker.
Burroughs, so the thing, Burroughs, he actually, in his interviews, he hinted about being in the CIA. He was in the CIA, I think. Burroughs was probably a lot more knowledgeable than you think he was.
So today you sent me some links about motherfucker to read, and he was like a magician, and he was like in spirits and shit. But really,
yeah.
I kind of need to like study magic seriously more. I personally think that those elites are working with the same spirits we are working with, all of the everything in that direction, and that they are in a really sinister way serving the will of the absolute creator, because the absolute creator has two sides, the light side and the dark side, and they are serving in their own selfish and egotistical way the baneful aspect of the creator. I understand the rationale behind their actions. However, I disagree with certain aspects of their methodology, especially the rape of actual biological children. But I am heavily interested in a topic. If my audience doesn't know, almost a year ago, I performed a series of experiments with certain entity to learn how those rights function and counter them. And since then, I kept being pointed to people who are kind of interested in this and experience this. and you are really like a gem to me. If you can introduce me to as much as those people as possible,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
I want to interview them to give them voice and to risk to technically give a platform, public platform to people who had those experiences.
Mhm.
And
Can I ask you something? Sorry.
Yippee, ask me.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the extraterrestrial part of that? Do you have any ideas about that? Because I mean, I don't fucking know.
I don't know. My main question is, can aliens be fucked? If aliens, I can hang out with aliens. Seriously, I never saw an alien, so I don't have an opinion. In majority
Uh-huh.
of cases, what people consider aliens are, in my opinion, astral entities. But if alien comes to me and grabs me by the balls, okay, it's a biological creature, it's a fucking alien. So what can I do? If I can fuck an alien, they exist. I think about it like that. Like people would immediately start filming alien porn as soon as they discovered that aliens actually exist. Oh my fucking god! So can you like share with me, uh, kind of a little bit more about your spiritual contact with the program? Because you mentioned the hive mind. What's the vibe of the hive mind? What's the
Uh-huh.
nature of the activity? Uh, how it interacted with your race and
Mhm.
everything. Like, I am personally extremely interested in a topic. Like, I am a little bit laid back, but as somebody who survived all kinds of nonsense, I'm kind of aware what kind of consequences it can have. And can you like tell me how it influenced you, that hive mind?
Yeah. Um, hold on. Yeah, so okay, so before I went back to the colony just to check it out of curiosity, um I was led there by the entities. They played in my mind the theme song from The Wizard of Oz over and over and over and over again. Um and I was like, this is crazy. I I went to the airport to go there, and I missed like 4 flights trying to get there. And I think the reason I missed 4 flights is because I actually I I did a spell for protection. And so the spirits were actually trying to protect me to stop me from going. But I like after being at the airport all fucking day, uh and being on standby for flights, I saw this little girl walk in front of me at the gate, and she literally had fucking ruby slippers on, like from the movie, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be my flight for sure." And it was. And I got on the plane, and we were sitting down, you know, everyone was getting in their seats, and this guy, walked up to, and he was standing on my side. Like, I thought he was putting stuff in the overhead compartment, but he was just standing there for a really long time, really still. And I looked over, and he was saluting me. Um, so that's kind of an example, I think, of like the hive mind and the supernatural part of it, and this whole Wizard of Oz thing. Um, Also, so after I like rescued this guy from the organization, they captured him again. He ran away again. He ran away. He was extremely disabled at the point from what had happened, but he managed to drive across the entire country to my house. And I was so surprised to see him again. We went to the we went to the gas station to go get smokes. And I asked him, I said, I want you to tell me about the devil, because he was always talking about how, like, the leader of this colony, the people called him the devil. And I was like, tell me more about that. And so he started to talk about it. And I started to talk about it. I saw this huge man appear out of nowhere. And he raised up his hand. He was about like 40 feet away from me. He raised up his hand in the sign of the devil and stared at me and like charged towards the car in a really menacing way. And he wasn't like some crazy guy. He was just like a really huge, scary ass dude. And I was just like, dude, go, 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 go. Like, fucking pedal to the metal, get us the fuck out of here. But that was the kind of shit that would happen like all the time. And then also, like, if we were out doing something, or like, I don't know, out getting lunch or blah blah blah, some weird motherfucker would come up and say, "Hey, Captain," because that's the trigger, because it goes back to the poem, that "Oh Captain, my Captain" poem thing.
So technically, you are telling me that MK Ultra has three characteristics. First is ritual rape and drug experimentation on children. Second is training of children in special intelligence operations. And third is technically creation of a hive mind and binding of individuals to that hive mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think I know how they did it, but I will kind of talk about it with other people who actually participated in a program. You are an outsider. So
Yeah.
if I said my opinions to your ass, you kind of wouldn't be able to refute or support my claims, but those other participants in the program would be able to. So,
Well, a lot of them wouldn't be able to do a lot because, like I said, they've been so broken up mentally, maybe deliberately, that they can't put the pieces together themselves. But there are some people, there's a couple I can think of that could help you out there, I think. If they're willing to talk to you about it.
so here is the thing. As your friend who kind of helped your ass and you also helped my ass, and I like you as a person, I need your assistance here as a fellow magician and a fellow associate. If you can share this interview with other people who participated,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and if you can tell them who I am and how I know about all of this and how I want to study this and give platform to everybody who wants to speak about this, because my reason for doing so is this. So I want to prove to the entire world that magic is immoral, and the spirits which are used in this project are the same spirits most of the humanity is using for different things.
Yeah.
I kind of have ritual evidence and experiential evidence for it. I never raped anyone. I never participated in similar acts in a way. But I received information from the spirits I am operating with that they are actually behind those programs. In a way, if they are not directly behind the programs, they gave the operators the knowledge to create those programs. Okay? So, ordinary human without spiritual guidance cannot, create egregoric hive mind and then bind it to a higher ranking spirit in order to use the hive mind for an agenda. That's a type of knowledge which only spirits from the unseen can give. So I am also sharing my experience, which is kind of weird. But it is interesting and related to this issue. So I personally have cerebral paralysis, and I'm gonna tell you how it's related to MK Ultra, right? So I was also kind of sexually assaulted, but this is not the topic of this. So the people who have cerebral paralysis and all of those neurotic disorders, so severe disabilities, they all have similar energy current in their bodies, right? And that current is called the winds of plague. And that specific current helps you to connect with a certain plague-related groups of entities, such as Lilith, such as Agrat, such as the plague-bearing aspect of Apollyon, or Abaddon, such as the illness-bringing aspect of Molech, or, all kinds of gods, Nergal, Ereshkigal, Hell. You get my point, right?
Yeah.
So people who suffer through similar experiences, similar traumatic experiences, they become attuned to similar hive minds of spiritual energy, and they technically are able to tap into that energy for purposes of some kind.
That makes so much sense. What you just said
So
makes so much sense.
It looks to me like there is some motherfucker behind the whale who came to those elites with the deal they cannot refuse to create a space in collective consciousness for that entity, in order for that entity to create his own specific hive mind, and in return, the agenda of those rulers will be accelerated. This is a similar pact to the one Wotan made with the ancestors of the Norse, or the Loa made with the Haitians, or the Slavic god made with the Slavs, or Nova made with Jewish people. I am not saying that all of those individuals raped kids, but they all practiced certain rituals and certain methodologies which allowed those entities to anchor into collective consciousness of man and give to those people who created the covenant additional power. So let's take an example from history. Who was the most powerful fucker in Jewish society? The Levite, the tribe of Levi, and the house of Judah. They pushed the acquisition agenda, and they were the most powerful. Venerators of Wotan, for example, in the Norse society, were the king and the chiefs. So by honoring their pact with Wodan or Wotan, they received the kingship. Wotan gave them the mandate of kingship. In return, they kept the presence of Wotan in their own collective consciousness of their people. So when the oath of Wotan was forgotten, or we can make a case that within collective consciousness of Germans, oath of Wotan was never forgotten. It simply changed its form. But when the oath of Wotan was forsaken, and when Norse people converted to Christianity, they kind of were not the terror of the world anymore. So when they venerated the oath of Wotan, when they pillaged and slaughtered in his name, when they offered sacrifices and performed the rituals and invoked the dead and called the Valkyries from Valhalla and worked with the Aesir. They were like the most famous people in Europe. And when they converted, they became ordinary guys who do ordinary European politics without doing anything substantial. So you get what I'm trying to say. Similar pact made between whoever started the project and those entities.
Yeah.
What I am interested in is I am interested to find out what's the nature of that covenant. Who are the spirits behind the covenant? How we as magicians and operators can harass and use the energy of the program for our own benefit. How to transform the energy of the program to change the affected people. What is the nature of energy within the program? What is the procedure of energy within the program? Because I need to tell you something. I discovered that the main inducer of spiritual experience and spiritual enlightenment is the trauma, right? So what is wrong about MK Ultra is not necessarily the induction of trauma. It's the fact that trauma is forcefully induced, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, for example, in order to prepare for Lilithic rites, I had to perform. I starved, which means no food, only water, for 4.5 days in a row on multiple occasions. And for somebody who is forced to do it forcefully, it is enormous pain, but due to me self-traumatizing myself willingly, it was a good. So what I am saying is maybe within those MK Ultra procedures, we can find a way to reach extreme trance, and those experiences can help everyone. And we can also try to help the victims of the program. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And during my experiences with that, I mean, that's kind of when I had like my biggest spiritual awakening. And I also learned healing techniques too. And I use those healing techniques to help my friend. And I also discovered so it's strange. So the day that my friend called me and told me that the person that tried to kill me, that he ran into the person that tried to kill me, and that he knew him, and that that same person had tried to kill him, that same evening, I was having like Kundalini awakening. And as that was going on, the earth told me that it was really mad. And it was like really mad because it basically said like people walk on me and they don't even know I'm here. They don't even know that I'm conscious, that I'm aware. And I said, is something about to happen? And then the earth was like, yes. And I swear to God, like later, the ground started shaking. And the ground didn't stop shaking for like 2 months. It was a mild earthquake, which like we have earthquakes in my region, so I don't feel like they don't happen that often. You know, they happen like every 10 years or so, but it was happening. It was just really subtle. And it was so weird because nobody noticed. Only a couple of people that I knew could actually notice the shake. But the earth started shaking and didn't stop shaking for 2 months. And I don't know. It's just weird that that all happened at the same time. It was a huge awakening for me.
So I really kind of need to give my own update on this because to the ancient Slavs, I am a Serbian motherfucker. So to the ancient Slavs, Earth had two incarnations. One incarnation was Veles, the god of earth and sorcery,
Mhm.
and animals. And another incarnation was Mokosh, the Mother Earth, the goddess of earth and destiny. So
Mhm.
it is said that Veles causes earth to shake and drought to come. So it kind of makes sense to me that the wrathful aspect of the Mother Earth would cause earthquakes in such a way. And I personally think that we will experience some form of nature's wrath in a foreseeable future. This will not last forever. I am personally not capable yet of surviving in nature on my own, but I am definitely aware that this civilization is pretty anti-natural and anti-spiritual in many, many ways. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me more about those techniques you learned regarding healing?
Yeah. I I so I was in the desert when this was going on, most of it. Actually, the earth when the earth wanted me to go somewhere, it would shake a little bit more and scare me enough to get to leave. um, so I went to the desert and I was guided to some crystals, and that sounds so new agey, but I used the crystals, and the crystals helped me a lot with being able to open up my third eye and do, you know, astral travel and healing. And um, I just with that person, what I did was I created like a perfect astral version of themselves from before the abuse and the poisonings and all of the shit, all of the experiments and shit that they did to him. I created like a his perfect astral self, and I merged that into him. And he healed physically really, really, really fast. Uh, but he also kind of went crazy in the process.
So you did something which is like operation succeeded, patient died, that kind of thing. Yeah, but you tried. It's good. So so what is the methodology of healing techniques you use?
Well, you know, I'm really I'm really just coming back from my trauma. Like I've talked to you about this. I'm really just getting back into my practices and everything because um I was after my trauma, I was actually like physically disabled. It really jacked up my nervous system, and just going out into the like bright sunlight would push me like almost into having a seizure. So yeah, I'm just getting back into it, as you know. I'm just coming, but I do want to say uh, that I'm feeling a lot better, and my experiences with you talk just our work together and talking to you, our learning from you has been really awesome, and I'm starting to feel better, and I'm starting to come back.
So you never told me you actually need physical healing, right? That's something I can help as well, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
So to close this interview, do you have any last words to say to the audience?
Um. No.
So thank you, our nice, mysterious guest, for being on the channel and sharing this controversial information. and I hope you will introduce me to some other people who were part of MK Ultra.
I'll
For
try. I will.
yeah, and send them also this video because
I will.
I think I am definitely one of the more insane investigators in this phenomena. And when I say insane, I mean insane in a good way. But really, thank you for your enormous courage and capacity
You
to
are
talk.
insane in a good way. You're I love your brilliant scientific approach.
Thank you for the compliments, my dear mysterious guest. Thank you for watching, fucking motherfuckers. I didn't knew that all of those hippies I like to listen were fucking pedophiles. I mean, they love to fuck kids, but they made good music. Thank you guys for watching and talk to you tomorrow or some other
Okay.
fucking time when they film those interviews. So, peace out, guys. Yeah. Thank you, mysterious guest, for coming once again and talk to you soon.
Okay.